Eden Koz here with Just Be, and we are about to take a spiritual boom. We are at an unprecedented time in human history where we are transitioning from 3D to 5D within the great spiritual awakening. This video and audio podcast is the place for you to find your truth beyond politics, your sovereignty, your voice. Let's kick up your vibration now. By the way, each episode ends with the Just Be practice to do just that. And as we begin the show, just to know a little bit more about me, I'm a soul realignment specialist, meditation master, and dimensional healer. Learn more, and there's merch also at EdenJustBe.com. Let's get this party started. Hey, just a quick note before we begin. There was a little noise in that. It's like little elves moving a box around. So for those of you listening to it only on audio, if it seems to bother you, because we tried to fix it a little bit, also know that this is put on YouTube and Rumble. So if you want to watch it as well, that might be better because Ragan has some really great stuff to deliver. So stick with it. Change it up if you need to. There you go. Eden. Just Be Spiritual Boom in association with the Grassroots Warriors Network. Welcome, Ragan Thomson, out of California in your yurt. How you doing?
Oh, it's so good to be here with you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm doing really well today. It is California in the wintertime, and somehow we have like 75 to 80 degree day today and sunny, which is truly unusual. So I'm grateful for the heat. I'm grateful for this weather.
That's so great. And we were talking about that because in the 20s here in Ohio. So my client this morning, it's snowing, but it's kind of rainy. He described it as like being spit on. So you have 80 degrees. I have spit weather.
Oh, we get what we get.
Yeah, we sure do. All right.
We
so
get what we get.
I'm interrupting you a little bit. All right. So today, Ragan is a spiritual teacher and transformational guide, and I'll go into her full bio in a minute. Alongside we are going to talk about your personal spiritual journey today, from being an overachiever, potentially eating disorder, seeing things that go bump in the night. She has an awareness for matrix programming, spiritual warfare, which y'all know we are in and what this show's been about for 4 years, plus the really great stuff that's going on and the ongoing Great Awakening, moving from 3D distortion to 5D embodiment. And I love this, reclaiming divine connection without bypassing the darkness, which is also what the show is about. So such a great fit. Real quick, before I get into Ragan's bio, the one thing that I keep wanting to mention, because I feel this is so substantial. So we're on episode 204 with Ragan. Episode 188 is with Miles Franklin, and we go heavy into gold IRA scams. I feel that this episode was just so pivotal because it personally happened to me, which is one of the reasons I'm like so out there about it. So Kevin from Miles Franklin spent 2 months with me, moving me out of where I was, and I ended up moving with them, which they are doing. You don't have to go with them. They're not charging any money for any of this because they see that it is not kind and not good. So I encourage watching that video if you happen to be, or a podcast, if you happen to be investing in gold IRAs and you're curious if your company is one of those. He gives warning signs. He tells you what mints are really good to invest in. So it is just an awesome episode. So 188. And then if you are concerned or you just want to invest with them, email info@Miles Franklin and put Eden in the subject line because they know me personally. Not that will help you get better service, because the service there is really great. Yet I totally respect them. Their integrity is high. And Ragan, I did want to ask you because I believe in this Great Awakening period that, our money systems, all of that's going to be changing. I'm not concerned about, I think we're all going to have so much abundance. So I'm not really worried about any of this. I love investing in this manner because it is my decision. It is a sovereign decision. I got divorced a while back, so I can do whatever I wish, which I love that. Do you have any feeling about silver and gold at this point? I just felt led to ask you.
Yeah, I mean, I've been called to do some investing in that before, even suggested to do so. I think that there is benefit to that at this time. I think there is. I haven't personally done that yet. It's on the spectrum though. I've been asked, and it came up a couple times even recently. Um, I think that precious metals, precious like actual you can hold,
Hmm.
that's the real substance.
I
I
agree.
think the powerful, amazing energy that comes from that type of organic material, like the silver and the gold, I think it holds value beyond time. And I think it will go beyond the money system. So I think there is benefit. I'm sure it'll change in value over time as things do. But I think it does feel like a commodity that you can hold that would be an excellent, just a part of your portfolio if it can be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I got a necklace from my Nana who passed away, and it's a silver coin. And my mentor was like, "Oh my God, you don't realize how good that is just for you to wear and have it right
Mhm.
at your
On your
heart."
heart.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
anyway, thank
totally,
you.
totally here. Yeah, you're welcome. That's
Thank
just,
you for that. All
you're
right, let's
welcome.
let's read more about you. Okay, Ragan Thomson is a compassionate spiritual teacher, an intuitive transformational healer, and devoted world service activist for over 20 years of experiencing guiding individuals on the path to healing, awakening, and self-discovery. Through her soul activating workshops, transformative retreats, inspiring speaking engagements, and heartfelt guided sessions, Reagan creates sacred spaces where people can release inner wounds, reconnect with their divine essence, and cultivate a life a greater, which we're all looking for, a greater peace, joy, and authenticity. Woo! All right, woman, my first question, let me clear my throat for a second, is how did you first start seeing, again, as we talk about the matrix 3D to 5D, what was your awakening into that? Was it separate from your own spiritual awakening? Because mine came in a definite two-tiered box. How did it happen for you?
Well, that's a big question. Thank you for asking it. The kind of evolution into the 5D has been going on for my system for quite a while. I would say really the awakening has been just based on my own inner work, and starting to see just kind of the veil that's been here, that's been kind of an illusory veil because of that inner work, meaning that starting to literally see the programs and the patterns that run through people's systems only because I had to clear that out of my own system first, seeing this kind of repetitive amazingness of like a record skipping in certain people's systems where they simply cannot see it until you bring it to their attention. And even if you bring it to their attention, as you know, they may or may not be ready to work with that. So at being a spiritual teacher and a healer for so many years, I know that I first need to do my own internal work diligently for a long time and go through all the many chapters and all the many pockets of pain and all the, the different dark nights of the soul, whatnot. But I would say just in the last few years, I've had multiple metamorphoses where I've woke up more deeply in a deeper initiation of understanding and consciousness that has led to moments where now I can literally feel as that veil has dropped more for myself, what people see. I can actually have experiences where someone will say, well, this is what I see. And I say, well, it's completely different scene. I mean, I'm seeing
Yes.
light, I'm seeing a beautiful bird, I'm seeing a joyous energy, I'm feeling joy. And as they're looking through a similar or looking at a similar picture, I've had moments where they're like, no, I see darkness. I see the sun is going to rain soon. I'm seeing that, there's depression in the world. I'm feeling pain right now. It's like, whoa, and so this interesting experience, not only with clients, but with friends, with family, giving them an opportunity to share what they see and feel in a moment where I see and feel something over the last few years, and watching this completely different picture unfold. And then also watching that as my vision changed and the lens became more clear and I started to see through that veil of the matrix, I also saw what could happen, which was limitless potential and possibility, starting to really see this miraculousness that exists here.
When you see something completely different from someone else, how are they shocked by what you see? Do they and then how does that work with you? Are you just like, oh, okay, they are seeing their own thing. I'm good in terms of that separation.
Yeah, no, it is. It's literally that is what it is. Thanks for wording it that way. It's a sense of they're feeling separate from all that is, right? They're feeling separate from the divinity that's here right in front of them and within them. They're feeling separate really from their own soul. So more of the personality, right? The more of their personality, the you, the I that is there within them that still has not transcended enough of that gunk or that stuff that has settled upon their beautiful soul's light. So when they have that experience, I mean, I have this happen sometimes with family members still, right? You know, your own
Yeah.
children, my marriage, my husband sometimes might say something, and I get to practice all the time in the crucible of my own family, really, just to be there present, loving them, even though they may be suffering in some way in the face of some sort of like pattern, program, fear, worry, doubt, and I just kind of sit there with them and I take a deep breath and I'm like, well, that's one way of seeing it. Would you be open to the possibility that also what is here? Asking questions have been really helpful for me, more deeper, empowering questions to people who are really just cannot see past that veil, right? They're stuck in that lens, that kind of obstructed lens of which they're looking through. And also patience, a whole lot of patience. I mean, it has taken years of work to get to the point where I can actually be patient and have zero expectation of them seeing what I see, feeling what I feel, and not projecting onto them that, they need to feel or see what I feel and see as a way for me to feel safe, right? So I've had to work through various dimensions of my process within so that I can just sit with someone and say, I hear and I hear you and I feel you, and I have no expectation of you seeing what I see. But the cool thing that I've noticed is that the more that I relax into my body and the more that I literally give them room to be as they be, and then they feel me possibly more awake, more joyous, more aware, they're like, how do you, what is that you're going through right there? And so any of that clinging or wanting or wishing they'd be different does not work. And when I can just be conscious and present with them and non-reactive to them maybe experiencing, right, whatever they're going through, most likely some sort of matrix oriented moment where they're literally seeing something, who knows, that's really hard to look at. And they're also feeling something that really is hard to feel. And so I can just go, oh, I've been there. And that's also part of it, right? Just the many years of my system, also myself, feeling the very thing that they've ever felt, if not way more. So I have so much like compassion because I can feel like what that feels like. So they can feel my compassion too, or that love. And that gives them permission to start to kind of calm down. Yeah.
All right. So let's go into, well, I did want to ask you this though. I think you have 4 kids, right?
I do have 4 kids. Yeah.
Okay. And you're married. So has it been the same marriage for how long have you been in this one?
This marriage I've been in for, well, I mean, we've been together for 12 years in marriage, but together for 17.
Okay. Is this your first marriage or your
It's
only
my
marriage? It's your
marriage.
second.
Yeah. The other one was very short.
Okay. Thank you
Very
for sharing that.
Yeah.
All right. In terms of the Great Awakening, how is everybody within your close-knit family, let me see how to word this. They must be connected on some vein with it or open to how are your relationships within that? I guess that's the best way to ask it.
Yeah, no, thank you. Well, first off, when I met my husband, for example, we went straight into healing work together.
Wow.
So within like a couple months, I was like, let's get a spiritual counselor. And fortunately, he was open. So, and he had been doing some good inner work too. He was been doing quite a bit of breath work. He'd been sober for a few years. So he'd already been doing the AA program for many years. So he was ready to go. He was ready just to be with me and start to do that work internally. And we just stayed with it. I mean, really, not even until about maybe recently, we had been in couples counseling or couples retreats, workshops, classes, the entire relationship. So that's been super supportive and amazing. And thank God for that. And that was designed. You can feel it was designed for our deeper awakening and evolution. So what a blessing. And then as far as with my children, you know, initially when they were born, I could feel that I wanted them to know everything that I knew, you know, because I've the doorways I'd walk through, the tough doorways, some of them, and I wanted them to feel, you know, the truth about life. So I would drop these little seeds of, you know, wisdom, spiritually when they're even little. Even my husband would say, like, "What are you doing, honey? They don't know what you're saying." I'm like, I was like, you know what? I'm pretty sure there's a seed that just dropped and it's going to germinate over the course of time. So yeah, I did that. You know, these little seeds, I probably spoke a little more above them at moments. I had to really
Yeah.
work on that. I was just like, oh, this is gonna, no, wait, that's not what a child, they're not gonna understand that. So I started to learn, you know, to be a conscious parent as I went, right? I feel like that came online more as time evolved and more children came. And yeah, they've been around it, they've seen it, they've heard me. I've been doing, you know, even our home here in Santa Barbara, California, it's a few acres. For a while, it was definitely a healing sanctuary for many events, classes, workshops, lots of retreats with women, a lot of work that way. So there was definitely a lot of around them.
Yeah.
You know, it can go either way. Sometimes they're like, oh, well, then I need to differentiate. So I'm going to be my own person over here and I don't want anything to do with that. Oh, but that's your thing, mom. And meanwhile, each one of them seem to have their own, you know, psychic capacity, wisdom that they hold obviously within them that is quite spiritual, but they're just kind of, you know, they're young. They're just like feeling it, but not sure about it. They really appreciate my work. They feel
Mm,
they're very respectful of it. They're not like,
it's
oh,
nice.
that's weird or
Yeah.
I've had moments where like, you know, that whole spiritual thing, but then I've also seen moments where they're more open. It kind of comes in and out, but I see that in general, just the way my husband and I have parented, we're opening up the space for them to really choose how they wish to walk spiritually and not to impress or not to push. I certainly I have had the opportunity to become more skilled at that, you know, just like, okay, so we are going to pray tonight. Oh, you don't want to pray tonight. Okay, well, all right. We're not praying. Would you like to say the prayer or would you like me to say the prayer? So it's been a whole journey with what you're asking.
Wow.
Yeah.
And can you tell me their ages at this point?
Yeah. So my oldest daughter, she's 17. She's
Okay.
turned 17. My twins are 15. I have twins,
Okay.
and those are all girls. And then my youngest is 11. It's a boy.
Woo. So almost all teenagers except for the one. And you have a yurt in your yard, you know, again, the retreats. And so it's nicely in their face and they respect it, which is great. Yeah. And just the energy being all around them all the time. Are they conscious of, or to some degree, especially given their ages and knowing that that age, and I also feel people in their 20s are so pivotal at this time, are they more aware than others of what's really going on in the world?
You know, they also attended throughout their entire life. The foundation of their education was with a schooling system called Waldorf.
Yes.
Okay,
Hmm.
so that
That's
absolutely
different.
brings in a more of a holistic kind
Yeah.
of nature-oriented foundation for schooling. I am so grateful to the Waldorf schooling system. So they've had my work that I've been doing, my husband and I've been doing. We also did a lot of family work for a while. We did some family healing retreats.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
they are aware of their nature as a human feeling feelings more than maybe some
Hmm.
kids, right? They can
Hmm.
feel their feelings. They're aware of the world, you know, they're aware of the environment. You know, I did a lot of environmental work for a while. Some of it is a lot to listen to, you know, it's like a lot for a young person to take in. I noticed that, you know, they have moments of like wanting to be of service, also moments of retraction.
Okay.
It's like they still want to be kids, you know, they're like, gosh, this is not the way it was before. I'm like, you're right. It wasn't always like this, you know. Our environment needs our attention. Our world needs our attention right now. So how would you like to serve? And they're like, well, can I just like have some fun right now? So it's a combination of like awareness with still just wanting to be a child and just,
Yeah.
it's a lot to take in. But yes,
Yeah.
they are more aware than some kids. I think they just it's like, how do I hold that? What do I do? I don't know about you when you were a child. I remember feeling a lot of the world and the people around me, but I didn't know how I could serve them. And I felt a little powerless at moments to that. So fortunately, a school system like Waldorf, they do a lot of community service. They do a lot of service within the school. I think they get to feel like they're doing projects of service in some way. So I think a child really wants to serve and help, but often they
Mhm.
don't feel like they have the equality to do so. So I try to do my best to help them feel that they're empowered to be of service in whatever way they choose
Wow,
for
and to
now.
feel worthy and to feel
Yeah,
like they already have a place on this earth that they're making a difference.
yeah,
So cool. All right, do you
so
mind
important.
starting talk about your Irish Catholic background and your overachieving family? Yeah, go into that for a second because I know that was a huge healing
Yeah.
aspect to your life or growth.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. Thanks so much for asking that. Yeah, I mean, that's been a primary place within me that became challenging initially early on. I suppose it was because I started to kind of buy into the collective tribal energy where I felt like I needed to kind of be like them. They were very close-knit group. It was a very close-knit experience where also nourishing to have that kind of family in some way. But there was a lot of achievement going on in the family in general. There was a lot of like high achievement. Really, it felt like every few moments I was going to another award ceremony for my mother or my father or a cousin that was winning everything in some sort of sport. It was just a very committed to getting things done family. Really achieving. And I saw kind of the busyness too in the family. I saw there was a busyness, a go, go, go. And I'm over here kind of going, well, that's in me too, but I'm also very sensitive. I'm very emotional. I'm very artistic. Um, I felt there was this seeing this all going on, like, how do I fit into this? How do I get some attention around here? How do I really start to feel loved? So I just calculated that I need to do kind of what they're doing. I need to start to um, find something that I can say to the world I'm really good at, if not everything I'm good at, and then soar in it and hopefully have them say, wow, you're amazing and we see you and I love you. I was looking for love. I was seeking approval. I was seeking acknowledgement. I was seeking outside of myself a way to get that versus
Mhm.
internally. Yep.
All right, so you started playing tennis. That was your thing.
Yeah, yeah. It became my father's thing was also sports. So, although maybe his business became something else that really helped him become successful, his dream was to be an athlete. So, hurt himself, I think, at some point his knee. He wasn't able to do that. So, me being the last of three girls, I kind of took it on to myself to say, well, I'm going to help him live out his dream, and he can live vicariously through me.
Whoa.
And that was my way of loving him. I just thought, I'll just become this amazing athlete and he'll get to experience being a pro athlete. So I started playing tennis at age 3. I just started really training hard, maybe my earlier years there, maybe 8 to 10, 11. And then by 10, 11, I was already playing some bigger tournaments where I was starting to get to like playing older kids and winning tournaments and, starting to go, wow, I'm pretty good at this. Then, getting coaches and starting to tour and going to some of the bigger tournaments. And so I'd be playing tennis in school and I'd be playing tennis outside of school and I'd be playing tennis, just all different types of programs, different academies for training. So, I was primed to be a pro tennis player. I was dedicated to that path. And meanwhile, there was so much more to who I was that was
Yeah.
just being pushed to the side. Yeah.
So when did the eating challenges start?
I started to experience like over exercising, bulimia at age like 15. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was just so much of that environment we were talking about, just absorbing all of that perfectionism and achievement, and just trying to meet some sort of imaginary bar of perfection that doesn't exist. As a young teenage girl, I also didn't feel a deep connection to my mother. So I was struggling with that. And then my father, who I did feel more connected to, was all about this. So he's just like, go, go, go. And meanwhile, I'm like, okay, well, then I don't know, I need to lose weight and be skinny and be perfect. And then I'll feel at ease. So yeah, it started at 15 and it was pretty severe. Yeah, it became like an obsession to win. It became an obsession around food. I was over exercising. I was sometimes waking up in the middle of the night to exercise.
Oh,
I
wow.
I'd set my alarm just to exercise again. I mean, I'm sure we've all heard about this wild obsession with exercise that people can have. And so I kind of had a three-tiered challenging experience going on. I was, both over exercising, bulimic, and really suffering probably from internally depression.
So how did you deal with that? What stopped it? What was the break?
Yeah, so I went on to keep playing just when I was even that sick. I became anorexic. So that of which bulimia sometimes can kind of transfer to anorexia. It certainly can. It was both anorexia and bulimia, but there was really nothing to with anorexia, there's nothing to purge or release. So I just felt, the anorexia became pretty severe. It became to a point where I was really had lost all my weight and I was still playing tournaments. So I did hurt myself, obviously. I mean, my body was deteriorating. At one point, maybe like 17, 18 years old, this is now 3 years of this, but
Oh,
only about 6 months of anorexia. It really doesn't take long to really start to deteriorate. I was playing it just practice and sprained my ankle, and then that was just devastating for a tennis player that was the number one player, and I was, still winning tournaments strangely without any body weight. And then after that, I think I just felt really defeated. I had to take a few weeks off and I did, and then I came back to tennis, and I had a friend who the entire my tennis career had really wanted to beat me. She was like, she was number two, I was number
oh
one,
man.
and a dear friend, and she was like, okay, you're back after your ankle being sprained, let's play. And
Oh
she, of course, she won that match, and I was just like, this is horrible. Like, I not only am I like being
man.
defeated by a friend that I care about, I'm totally obsessed with winning, and that's totally taken out the joy of the game. I'm now realizing my vulnerability and starting to like tap into like, I am not well. I have got to stop this. I
Okay,
am,
can I ask you a question?
yeah.
So no one noticed, like your dad didn't notice, oh my gosh, she's dangerously thin. Did
Mhm.
anyone within your family make any kind of remark to you?
So the story goes, which is why I went into such a deep healing experience, is that
Yeah.
no, they did not. That
Mm.
was very devastating to my inner child, as you can
Yeah.
imagine.
Oh gosh.
Oh my goodness. What did happen though, I'm very grateful to a sister of mine. My oldest sister came home from college. She was about 7 years older, and she had not seen me in a while. She'd been at college. And she came back while had become anorexic, and she came back and saw me and looked at my mom and my dad, and she said, "What the hell?" I won't even say all the words she said. She was just like, "What is happening here? Like, what are you guys doing?" I mean, just literally screaming at them. I'll never forget it because she didn't know I was, there in the room. Had walked upstairs and I was kind of hiding on the stairway. So she didn't even know that I was listening to the conversation. And my heart was like, thank God someone has finally seen that I'm literally dying right now.
And how did your parents react? Did they go, "Oh, yeah, that's right," or "Oh, she's fine"? Is that
I peeked around the corner. She had them on the chair like they were like little children being reprimanded. I mean, they were like, yeah, I guess. I mean, we thought she was just really fit and skinny. I mean, it was just like they woke up for a minute, out of themselves and were like, okay, yeah, I guess she does need help. So,
oh,
shortly after my first sports psychologist appointment began, I had a psychologist for sports. She was that was the first experience I'd ever had with therapy. So it was something, it was helpful to start. I brought my dad into a couple sessions. That didn't go very well. He wasn't able to address it. He
No,
was just like,
okay.
because I shocked the world at that moment. Basically, what I was saying in that session with him was, I'm no longer going to play tennis competitively. It's not healthy for me. I'm not going to go out and be a pro. I'm not going to go to college and play tennis. I'm not going to do it. And he was like, what? I've completely primed you to be this player. And I was,
Oh
he
man.
often was my coach. He helped me get the rackets and I got sponsored, all the above. So, anyways, you know, I couldn't believe it. I was looking at him going, I'm literally like dying here. And you were shocked that I'm not going to play tennis. So many layers of healing after that. I mean, so much confusion and misperception. And even like the final bit of healing around that, about that moment, like it was an amazing, hard way to learn to jump into the
Yeah.
spiritual path. But it did cause me to completely kind of throw my hands up in the air and go, you know what? If I don't leave this place, this family, this sport, I'm going to die. So, and then I did. I said goodbye to the location I was in. I love my family. I wasn't trying to say I'm abandoning you all,
Yeah.
but when I moved, which I did, I moved from the Midwest at the time to Florida. I definitely put myself into a situation where I didn't know anyone where I was going. I completely started a complete identity change. I wasn't a
Wow.
tennis player anymore. I don't even know why I was at college. I was like, here I am. I'm at college. Does anybody know what this is for? I really had no idea what I was doing there. I was like, what is a major? Let me explore. I was like, so it was just from being primed, like I said, to being this athlete my whole life. I
Jesus.
went through a huge identity crisis.
Yeah, a
Yeah, and it was
total change.
I mean, I didn't feel well necessarily. I felt very lonely and like abandoned and all the above. But
Yeah.
what I did feel was free of that all. And I did start to get a little bit better with the eating disorder. Not healed, but started to eat again.
Okay.
So, I gained quickly 20 pounds, and that was needed.
Man.
I came back freshman year and I had gained back my weight. So it was that quick that I started to not be anorexic by saying goodbye to all that.
Whoa, that's tremendous. So such a separation. So okay, so in working
Yep.
with clients, I also work with people with eating disorders that starting to gain some weight can sometimes be very traumatic. For you, was it and your will to live also, because there are also people that are like, okay, I'm just going to succumb to this.
Mhm.
Apparently your decision, I do want to live, I want to be free of this, and then gaining the weight simultaneously, was it all good for you or did you struggle with that at all?
Actually, I remember I came back from college for Christmas to see my dear friends from high school because
Yeah.
fortunately, I had some wonderful friends in high school.
Wow.
I really enjoyed high school as far as the friends, the
Yeah.
social, and the sports, really, until it just got not
Too
fun
much.
anymore.
Right.
Too much. But I did have a good experience in some way. But these dear friends I saw again, I didn't even know I had gained weight. I mean, they were so excited to see. They were like, "You're doing so much better."
Wow.
I just let it happen. I mean, I wasn't looking at the scale. I just felt better, and that's all that mattered. And I had not healed the bulimia. I had not healed the bulimia. The
Yeah.
anorexia, I had healed that. I mean, I was eating some food, right? I was able to eat maybe a meal or something. So, but it was enough to just help me, regain that weight. And no, it's strange. I still remember it. They were like, look at you. And then I looked at some pictures later and I went, oh my gosh, I
Oh
had
yeah.
gained so much more weight. No wonder they were so grateful for seeing me that way. I just wasn't aware of the weight gain as much as you'd think. Yeah.
Well, so also to ask, when you came home and your parents saw you, did they make any comments or how did it even feel to be home?
Oh, well, I mean, like I said, there was such a disjointed energy now between my family
Yeah.
once I went to college and I stopped playing that sport. Um, it just a wild kind of not connection point there anymore. I think I was struggling with myself and they were struggling with what they felt. not knowing how to talk to me. It was
Mhm.
not easy to see them, to be honest, but I was happy to see my friends and I was happy to be home. I'd come back for the holidays and I'd come back for the summers too for college. Um, it felt good to be with my friends. I love my parents. I wanted to be closer to them. I just didn't understand what was going on.
Man,
Yeah.
okay. All this going on
Hmm.
too, where tell me if this is correct, being a young child, like seeing fairies, being connected and loving nature. And tell so some of the spiritual experience that you had had as a child and younger as well, and then coordinating this the tennis and overexerting. How did all of that finally finally come together? Is that a good way of saying it?
As far as the moving out of the achievement and getting back to the 5D,
Yeah,
what's
getting
your,
back
what's
to
your
this.
question?
Yeah, getting back to the spiritual when there had
Yeah,
always been spiritual inclinations. Like
yeah,
even if you can talk about for a moment
yeah,
when you were going through some of this tennis drama, I'll call it,
yeah,
and hearing some voices and covers
yeah.
being pulled off of you simultaneously. Yeah, talk about that for a moment because that's really interesting.
Okay. Well, yeah, I've had a lot of interesting supernatural type, interesting experiences throughout this life.
Yeah.
I believe it was because I came here to serve in a pretty big way on the planet, which I've been doing since I woke up a long time ago. Meaning that, I do think that some of these dense energies, these not so kind light-filled energies, have a little bit of a target on certain folks' backs.
Hmm.
And if we have a lot of unresolved material and we're living in a little bit of a dark malaise, it's a little, you're more vulnerable. You're more vulnerable to that energy. So after I stopped playing tennis and after I went to college, there was an experience where I was still, I'm feeling, yes, I'm eating again a little bit, but I'm feeling very lost. I'm feeling like, I don't, again, identity crisis. Like, who am I without this tennis thing? Like, and now I'm not talking to my dad, and I was so close to him, and I'm not close to my mom, and I'm just feeling just so lonely and abandoned. Just really of myself. Really, I learned later it was I really had abandoned myself, but I had felt abandoned by these folks, right? I
Yeah.
believed that they had abandoned me. So I was just feeling really sad. And I turned to sex and to drugs and to like, I was just in a really not great place. Meanwhile, I was getting great grades still at school, decent grades, for everything I was going through. I was still working out. I was smiling on the outside of the home I was in. Had good friends, I was able to feel I had always had access to a lot of light and goodness within me. So I could feel that with people in the world, but if I closed the door once again, I'd find myself there. And that's when this experience happened with the covers. I was in my little apartment I had rented in college and I was working as a at a tennis shop, just at the shop. I got in a little job there. I was working, doing some acting, some modeling. I was doing a little bit of that kind of stuff. So, which that's kind of felt very a little ego based. I was like, oh, look at me, I'm so beautiful. That's not a great energy for them to be like, let's pounce on that.
Oh,
So I,
yeah.
I was feeling out here maybe pretty, inside feeling very dark and ugly. So here comes these energies one night. I'm laying in bed and I start to hear whispering in my ear, and it was like a whisper, like like lots of words, and I was like very dark energy came around me, and I was really just not in a happy place. And I could feel it was like a courting. It was like, come with us. We want you to, we'll give you power. It was like, we need you, it's just like this very dark. And I did not buy into it at all. Like, I immediately held my heart and I had access to prayer. I had been praying throughout my life and I was raised in a Catholic family. So I was raised in a Catholic traditional family where I was raised in church. I was raised with, going to church 2 to 3 times a week. I mean, so whether or not that was where my path was going to go forever, I did have access to my connection to God. So in that moment, that was what I felt connected to. It was to God. I prayed. I was like, oh my God, please help me. I just prayed. I prayed for my life. I prayed for assistance. I prayed for these energies to be transmitted into the light. I knew to just keep praying. And every time I did, they'd move away and I could feel this, that it was working. But before it, their final move away, I mean, I literally, like, they pulled my covers off me and just threw them off into the room. And I was like showing me their power. They're like, you're nothing. And I was like, oh no, I am. And I like was fighting them. I was like, no, I just kept praying. I did, and it worked. I felt like the light that came in through that prayer was too much for them, supposedly, I suppose. And they just went away. The kind of courting, I would call that. I felt like I was courted by the dark at that moment, to join that force of kind of negativity and density. And in some way, I think I was just victorious towards not being courted.
Mm, extremely, because being in a down moment and them coming and you being ripe essentially for that,
Yeah.
and that to me is happening to so many people right
Mhm.
now too, especially with alcohol and anything that kind of numbs your senses. What would you, given that you had that experience and that you were in a down place as well, what would you recommend to others who are experiencing that now? Because it seems like you also knew it was not good, like right off the bat.
Mhm.
How did you connect with that first? That something about this is not good. How did your spidey senses go up right off
In
the
that
bat?
moment during
Yeah.
that of which was that whispering in my ear. It was not, first off, I could feel there was no light in it. It was a feeling. It was
Okay.
just like, and no matter what, it was just it was like I was being pushed on by the
Mm,
energy on both sides of my body. And it felt like I was being bombarded. I imagine if it was going to be angels or guides or love of some sort of being, this is not how it would feel. I immediately knew that this is not that type of energy. It was an immediate intuitive moment, really, just kind of going, this is not, and I also knew that the entire room shifted when it happened. It was like it was a very dense field. I mean, there's no way to not feel that. It was a very dark energy. It felt very scary. I was very scared. I felt terrified. It wasn't just like a little bit scared. I was like, I am literally terrified and I'm alone with this energy right now. So, I mean, here I am. I think I was 22.
yeah.
I was just like a baby.
So to repeat,
Yeah.
very clear that it was dark and not good. If someone is in such a dark place where they are just like, come on, bring it. I mean, I can see, and I have clients like that too. I can see how it can be so, if you're in such darkness and darkness comes to you and mirrors that for you, it can be so hard to get out of it.
Yeah, it's amazing though how simple it was to get out of it,
Well, and
which
just like you
was
said,
that
prayer.
that prayer. I mean, it could be whatever you choose.
Okay.
It's the light is so much more powerful than this density. It's really so it's like that of which I know then, which I wish I'd know then, that I was buying into its power. I was buying into this false power as being real power. And it is certainly not. I mean, everything has taught me on the path, which has been, by the way, many layers of work,
Yep.
many chapters of going, gosh, these dark energies, and oh no, being spiritually attacked other times in my
Yep.
life, just different things, oh no, another spiritual attack. It was just, and finally, becoming a sovereign being is really because I start to stop, first off, fearing those energies, buying into their power, thinking that they have some sort of power over me, that my light and my soul in connection to all that is, in connection to source, is far more real and powerful than this energy, because I really feel now what I understand about that energy. Although if we give it power, it can get, obviously a little potent in times, but that it is an illusion. It really is. It's a fragmentation. It's a, if it would be beings or entities, then it would just be folks that have gone trapped in their own inner childs at some point, and possibly their parts that they never integrated, and then they died, and then they were really like stuck, and then they didn't leave, and they didn't transition peacefully, and then they did it again, and maybe they finally came back and they went through another round. My point is it's really just dense unresolved fragmentation and energy that is, also suffering. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying you have to be compassionate for it when it's happening. I'm just saying that there's an understanding that this energy is simply living in ignorance. It's simply, darkness is simply an absence of light. And when the light meets up with that darkness, it instantaneously either cowers down, moves away, or just dissolves. It does not have anything else it can do. So as soon as I prayed, if that's something that someone would choose to do, that prayer had a force of light that met up with that density, and it immediately moved it away. It was like, well, nothing here. Go somewhere else, find a new host, find somebody else, find another place where and because so that's really what I think happens. I think people forget their power. They forget their power in the face of that type of density, and they go into like, oh no, and they go into fear most likely. And that's understandable. I did it first, but then I was like, heck no, I'm going to harness whatever bit of bravery and courage I have inside myself. I am not going to let this take me over. I mean, in the most dark place in my life, I found that little bit. So I think that there is always that little bit. And that was also, what kept me going through the eating disorder, is that there was always this single point of light in the face of every dark moment. I could see it. It was like, you know what I mean? It was like,
Yeah.
maybe you call that single point faith, that, love existed, or it was single point that was like some little moment of, source, God, universe, however you connect, said, peace does exist. Like it was a tiny little drop, like a little point, and I would just keep going towards it. And it was sometimes so obscure, like it was like you can barely see it. But I was like, no, that does exist, and that will keep me going.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think these words that you're delivering are striking in terms of, we talk about the spiritual warfare that's going on today, that again, the light has so much more, so much more. Not power is not the word I want, but so much. Oh, what's a good word, Reagan? So much more beauty, so much more truth to it. Even just a drop
Yeah.
can, all of the darkness that's out there. So y'all, please keep that
So
in your
true.
head. Just that we are, again, going back to these being powerful beings, that just even holding on to that little bit of light will get you so far. All right. I wanted to ask you
So true.
this, because I've been talking about this a good bit on the show, the changes that are happening within healing. So 2 episodes ago, and one a while back, I guess we talked about, I don't know how specific you go into this, but talking specifically about the Akashic records being the energy of it being old and needing, and then Western astrology, that there are spiritual paradigms that we've been in for so long that so many people follow, yet knowing that a lot of them were created in old energies, that everything right now, I mean, everything. I encourage flexibility and evolution. What would you have to add to that?
What a great question. I love this question because it's so true what you just said. I agree. I think there needs to be so much flexibility right now with the update to everything, including spiritual practice, spiritual process, healing. The way we heal now has changed. The amount of light that's coming in, and the new frequency, the vibration that's changing on our planet, the amount of light that is, it's far more. There is a lot more receptivity to that light. A lot more folks waking up to that light, going through their awakening. Point being is that I have been told for a while now by spirit, by source, that there has been a whole new way forward now for rapid healing. So a lot of the work I do is around, I think like many healers, I know this, that they've been here and they're like, whoa, my trajectory of healing has been challenging. I've been trained in 12 modalities and I've got 24 chapters and it was really hard. I'm like, yeah, I think that's why we did that though. I think that, I just spoke with someone about this yesterday, that grounded resilience and strength
Yeah.
and power, authentic power that is brought into some of the facilitators that are here to be the bridge for
Mhm.
this new awakening world. Yes, that was not easy, but there is a new way forward, and it does not have to be like that anymore. So
Wow.
I feel there's a very beautiful kind of non-circuitous, circuitous, non-arduous, not as arduous
Yeah.
path. It's a different path now. Um, I feel there's a lot more healing that's coming in around literally just working with light, working with energy, just working with the receiving of light, working with bringing it into the system, opening up our chakra centers, purification that way, working with Christ consciousness, working with the highest vibrational frequency of light that maybe felt a little blocked before. There's like a glass ceiling, but I see that glass ceiling is breaking, and it's been shown to me that it is. So now there's more of this light streaming through the glass ceiling. And what used to be really takes maybe 5 years to work through a pattern, suddenly you're working on it with some sort of wonderful healing modality that feels good to you. The healing modality is being infused with that extra light that's coming in. So there lies that, I mean, instantaneously you can have a healing, or even maybe it could take a few hours or just a few days, what might have in the past taken a few years.
I am watching that with some of my clients that are in it to win it, if you want to call it that way. That one specifically, to be very general, has gone through a complete metamorphosis with family, with job, with relationships within probably 6 to 7 months, where the same thing, this would have taken so long beforehand. And such this dedication also. And
Mm,
still there being fear there, but not as much like, okay, I've got to change this. Oh no, I'm going to change this with both my parents this week. And then I'm going to change this with my sister and brothers next week. I mean, there is just this fire also that's like, this needs to be changed right now. And I won't live any other way. Where there was also more caution, or so it's, and then I
yeah.
look, Reagan, I don't know about you, but sometimes I look at it and like, I'm, jokingly go, oh my God, I had to go through all this stuff, and you're going to come in here and just in a week or whatever, you're going to, ah, but then I'm like, this is great. No, it is really, really great. And I like being also one of the people that has paved the way, I guess,
Yeah.
like you,
Yep.
and going through this now and having such a foundation
Mm.
and watching it not be, there have been times it has been rocked, yet it always stays there, but then also getting stronger and stronger, and knowing that like for those who've been doing healing work for a long time, knowing that we continue to step it up, that we aren't left behind, that we grow with everybody else, and as they grow, we grow too. So it's just
Yeah.
so exciting.
Yeah. No, thank you for saying all that. Yes, yep, we are trailblazers, aren't we?
We are.
We really are. And I realized that a while back of different initiatives I was a part of on the planet. And it doesn't always make it easy, that's for
Mm-mm.
sure. You kind of feel like you're pushing up against what's not been here. But, there is those that took a body, as you did and I did, to be present for that opportunity, even though at times it didn't always feel like an opportunity.
Mm-mm.
But it certainly feels like an amazing opportunity for sure now. I mean, yeah, to be able to like stand there as a lighthouse in the face of any one system or storm that's happening on the planet and be like, this too shall pass. You too shall heal this. I know that if I can heal this, you can heal this. Like this is, and not only can you heal it, you can heal it in a whole new way that may take a whole lot less time.
So, what would you, two more questions, and then we'll get to the Just Be practice in a moment,
Mhm.
unless there's something else you also want to say. For healers specifically, what words of change would you give them, or encouragement?
Healer specifically. Just hang on for the ride. I feel like, I mean, seriously, I've said that a few times, like fasten your seatbelt. It's not because it's going to be so turbulent. It's just that I believe that as this light continues to stream in, we're going to be going through a recalibration
Mm-hmm.
of kind of landing within that frequency and like kind of being more integrated within it. So I feel there's still going to be moments where our systems are going to be absolutely brought to the gate to bring forth more purification, because here's the thing, like that light comes in, as you know, anything that remains inside. So the more that I think healers can stay just diligent with their purification process, even though we've got plenty to do with others, I think a really good balance for sure within oneself right now is important, meaning like time for self, time for nourishment, time for sitting in your garden if you have one, or go to the beach or wherever you can go take a hike, but really just time in nature. The understanding that I'm hearing as a message, as a grand whole, is that our world, as this change is happening with the awakening of the world, the healers specifically, the light workers, the earth keepers, the wisdom keepers, all those folks, we need to be well nourished. We need to be in a place of feeling whole so we can hold the like little lighthouses all around the planet, like little anchors. And so if that means no work today for half a day, or if it means no, I'm going to not do so much this week, I'm going to take some things off my calendar, it's going to be okay. Just checking in about that dynamic balance that's going to be shifting. I think it's also a part of the energy being a lot about the divine feminine. So I do a ton of work with that work, specifically the emergence of the divine feminine. And that feminine, it's one thing to say, oh, yes, I understand it. It's another one to be practicing it right now. So the practice of the divine feminine is much more about receiving than doing and giving. And so the receiving has really not been women's most strong suit.
No kidding. Yeah.
So just a nice practicing just receiving and just sitting and being. It just means on your couch, like literally not even in a practice, just being and like practice. Like, so that is my other piece. You know, I'm sharing this. I actually, when I first woke up, was told that by spirit that I was a healer of healer and a teacher of teachers. That was specifically what I was here for. So I work with a lot of healers and I work with a lot of spiritual leaders, and it feels like I myself need to go through the crucible of the deepest pain and process I could possibly get to where I kind of feel it first, know it first, then I can help them, right? So
Yeah.
one of the big chapters for me was the end of the doing chapter. It was the end of, and learning to truly receive, like really sit and receive and just be okay with that may mean that takes an hour right now. And so, yeah, I've been sitting with folks lately and saying, have you practiced just being? I think
Uh,
that's the awakening world. It's all about our beingness.
and you know, it's really interesting now. I'm quite
Mhm.
slow. So the old part of me used to be like, oh my gosh, I need to be busier and where are clients? And now it's just like, okay, you're really being shown, chill out. And of course, my company name is Just Be. Uh, chill out and, like you said, receive, because I'm in a new 5D relationship too. So we're at 10 months. So
Mm.
receiving that and being still within that, because if I was really busy, I wouldn't have time for some of
Mm.
these things. And what else was going to add to that? Oh, and
Mhm.
then also with light workers, like this to me is like you are clearing out all your junk, all your karma. Like I'm, I keep turning over stones. I'm like, I thought I was done with that. Oh, here's another stone to unturn. So it is to allow yourself time to purify is so key right now, because I also feel like we are the leaders or the trailblazers in that too, to be willing. We've already been through this many darks of this dark night of the souls, and it gets easier. Yet there's still, I'm sometimes amazed at how much, let's call it garbage, that's in there, even though it's not garbage. Yeah, it is a little shocking.
Yeah, no, I understand. I do. And that has been the calling for myself as well. I've been going through a much deeper kind of release process internally on many different levels and dimensions.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been like wherever I was is being called to be way more in a deeper process. I don't even know how to say. And I thought, well, gosh, I mean, I thought I already was It's like it's almost like it's moved in more into like a multi-dimensional release process
Yeah.
across all bodies, all lifetimes, all different dimensions and frequencies. It really I'm like, okay, and I
It's
think, oh
big.
well, I did this for a month and it's like I have to do it every day. And it's like, no, keep going. And I'm like, oh gosh, okay. So I sometimes wonder, like, well, how I'll be in the morning. Like,
Yeah, I get
after
you.
sleeping, you're like, what's gonna happen? Am I gonna be who am I going to be tomorrow? So I think yeah, it's a very accelerated healing internally, I think, for light workers for sure right now. Fortunately, I think a lot of them have done a whole lot of work already. So we're pretty good with knowing how to do that. I just think that there's,
Yeah.
it's definitely not like sit back in your seat and, it's not a passive process. It's actually quite about beingness, but it's an action oriented beingness. It has a lot of learning to receive that energy and hold it and purify what's out, within that's not able to hold it. It's again, I think it's really, I think light workers, if I was to be clear again, is just that we're being called to work kind of on an more expansive level to, again, cross all lifetimes. Not just like maybe we've been clearing
Yeah.
out a whole lot here. It's like, well, you did a little bit of past lives. No, no, you're being invited to like really cross the spectrum of like, and then really just collapsing it into now, really
Yeah.
as this multidimensional creature. I don't think we've done a whole lot of multidimensional healing work on our planet for a while. And I think that's the new kind of way forward, really like very multidimensional across bodies and lifetimes.
Nice. And I don't know what you planned for the practice today. I know you were going to lead a meditation, but let me put this request in, and you let me know if this works for you. I would love for you to do something on how to receive.
Hmm.
Would you be open? Does that feel good for you?
Yeah.
All
Yeah. I
right.
mean, the way that I work, just briefly, is I'm a soul journey teacher. So I'm a soul activation teacher, healer, right? So I help people really connect deeply to their souls, which is the divine spark of who they truly are. So anytime I work, I help lead people back to that. And from there, it's like, oh, here is where I receive. This is like so easy because it's
Gotcha.
really just briefly, just the personality that remains, the identity parts, the ego cells, the child parts that might take the energy, your system, take the wheel of your system for a second and be the ones that are giving and going and doing and achieving and acknowledging, please, please. I mean, have I not known this so well? I mean, that was my whole first part of my life, like the achievement, the perfectionism. That was just parts of myself that had not yet integrated that were feeling just like, not complete, not whole, less than, not worthy. So, yeah, it's really important, I think, to bring people back to that beautiful core essence when it all began, before all of that accumulated, and go, hey, let's look at our life from here. So that's where I'll take us.
Okay.
How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Okay, cool.
Just be
All
practice.
right. Thank you so much. We're going to hop right in then. So let's just start by taking some slow and gentle, purifying breaths. These beautiful, slow, relaxed breaths. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Begin to feel that your breath, as it comes in through your nose, into your body, it's landing in your heart space. It's literally filling your heart. It's moving into your heart. Each breath, as you breathe in, you're gathering this beautiful divine light, and you're breathing that light in, and it's landing in your heart, filling your heart, opening your heart. And you breathe out, gathering more of this light that is the divine white light of Source. Now you're breathing that in, just this beautiful deep breath, breathing in into your body, into your heart, dropping into your heart. On this next breath, as you breathe in, we'd like for you to hold the breath just for a moment. And just vision and see your heart. You can even place one or both hands next to your heart space and breathe. When you're ready, breathing back out. We're going to breathe back in. This next breath is a bigger hold. We're going to breathe in and hold. And this breath is a hold for a few moments. We're inviting you to dive into the spaciousness, the presence that is within your heart now, your beautiful sacred heart, working with your sacred heart at this moment. Why do we work here? We work here because this is the doorway. This is the gateway into your entire energy system. So just taking a moment, if you can hold for a few moments and just feel that spacious stillness right now. Enjoying it just for a few more moments. Breathing out when you're ready. Moving back into a normal breath, just a beautiful kind of deeper breath here. Each breath filling your heart, now so much so that it's beginning to overflow like light around your heart, encircling your heart, overflowing out of your heart, this diamond white crystal light now. So this is both a feeling-oriented meditation as well as you can see, if you so choose, you can see the light moving around your heart. Just feel and see it. What do you feel? What do you see? What's happening here is this light is beginning to purify and cleanse your heart chakra. So anything that is here, specifically we're now requesting from the divine, from source, to clear out anything that's been here that has been blocking you from simply receiving love within your heart. We're asking for a purification now. Dear Spirit, dear Source, dear Divine Energy, please help us move out anything on our out-breath, please. On your out-breath, you're letting go of what has been hung on to within your heart around this inability just to receive love, to receive the goodness, the beauty of this beautiful life into your heart, because there's been some sort of blockage here. We don't need to know what the blockage is at this moment. We just know that this light work, this energy work, this beautiful light that's coming in, that's so potent at this wonderful time on the planet, so beautifully does what it so beautifully does when we just get out of the way and let it happen. Internally speaking, if you so choose, a mantra that says, I let go, I allow this divine, purifying light energy to clear out my heart of anything and everything that has been here that has been blocking my ability to simply receive energy, to receive the love and the light of Source. I am clearing out this gateway into my energy system so that light and love, this pure love and light of the divine, can not only stream into my heart, but it can become like a channel of light that moves through my entire energy system, like a channel of divine light streaming forth and through my central channel of my body. For those who have not ever done this work now, we're inviting that as you breathe in, you know, you trust, you have faith as much as you possibly can today, that any part of yourself, any child part, any ego self that has not known this love and light is now being welcomed to feel it, to see it, to know that it is possible, know that it is here for them. So if it's sometimes when we do this work, you can feel there's a part that has come forth. It's like, oh, here I am. I don't know this love and light. I'm the one who has not been able to receive. If there is a vision that has come forth, perhaps there is a part of yourself, right? Maybe there's a child in front of you. This is possibly just a little inner child work that now has come. Or there's an ego part that's like, oh, you don't know what you're doing. This is too simple. Some sort of ridicule or judgment of this process. Very possible. If you can, just discarding that voice, moving back into the center of your being. And if there is this child or is this part of yourself that's saying, I have not felt perhaps worthy to receive. I felt like I've had to prove myself to receive. Perhaps there's been some sort of feeling of lack of value going on inside. So you've been trying to achieve something as a way to receive. Like you have to do something, and then you'll receive this love. taking a deep breath and feel that as the light's moving in, it's moving in like a beam of light right into your child, if there is one here, or just some sort of energy, right? Maybe it's just a pocket of energy and it's going in as a beam of light. It's going into that pocket. Maybe it's going into another pocket. Perhaps there's multitude of pockets. And it's like little beams of light coming from your heart directly into the center of each one. We're inviting you to know that not only is your heart online right now as a sacred energy in connection to source that's streaming forth into these beams, but your soul is online. This beautiful, soulful light of yours now is being accessed within your heart. So now these lights are meeting, your soul's light and spirit and source. And try now practicing sending that light once again to this beautiful part of yourself, maybe that has not felt so beautiful, but simply is part of you that has felt separate. So sending that light is full of your soul's light and source, this beautiful, vibrant, loving light. And it's going right into any part of yourself that exists and saying to yourself, right? This is a part of yourself. I see you. I feel you. I love you. And I welcome you back into my heart. I welcome you to be integrated, to be dissolved into the light. And this is not an end of our relationship. This is a beginning of something profound. It's a unification. It's a oneness. It is us becoming a part rather than separate from one another. And see if you can feel that there's just a gentle ushering back into this beautiful core of your being. And if there was no part today, that's totally fine. Just feel and see light. Light not only growing within the center of your being, but now overflowing from the center of your being. Such a vast, beautiful light that it wants to flow through your whole system and surround your system, maybe even completely becoming like a cocoon of white diamond light around your body, around your auric field. Right now you're just being bathed. For some of us, we're still kind of hanging out with the child inside of our hearts. Wherever you're at today, there is no wrong or right way to be or feel. So feeling that in this moment, you're being invited to remember from your soul's light being here with you, the truth of who you are. All parts that would listen at this moment, you are a luminous, bright being of light. You have always been this. No matter what has ever happened, no matter what has ever occurred, no matter what pain you've ever experienced, what trauma you've ever been a part of, that has never changed, which is what is true now, which you are a divine spark of spirit. You're a divine emanation of source. You are a fractal of the one. Nothing has ever tainted you. Never have you ever been not deserving of receiving love and light, because you are this love and light. You have never been separate from it. Taking a slow, deep, purifying breath. Check and see if you can just receive this truth. If there was something to receive that will make the act of receiving in this world far more accessible, it is receiving of this truth, of your divinity, of your luminosity, of your absolute belonging within and without, because you are a part of this divine tapestry that is being interwoven, that is interwoven on this planet of many souls coming together, a part of this great awakening that's occurring right now. The fact that you're even in a body takes great courage. Remembering the truth of your power, your potential as a soul. Taking one last slow, deep breath. And blessing all parts. Perhaps they integrated or not today, if they so choose. Say that I wasn't ready. That can happen. Sending them love, sending them patience. And for those that did integrate, welcoming them home, welcoming yourself home to a deeper place of home within. Remembering to remember this practice, this process of connecting with your soul, dropping into your soul's light, and living and leading from your soul. Always possible, every moment. Simply taking that breath and dropping in. We thank you so much for joining in this meditation. Thank you so much. And so we say, and so it is, and so it shall be. Namaste, everyone.
Open my eyes there. I received some stuff. Some stuff. It's really good. Thank you, Ragan, for leading
You're welcome.
that. So nice. What is, if people were going to find you, is your website the best place to go?
Yeah, I think the website's fantastic. It's a plethora of wonderful information and meditations. I also have a newsletter that if you do join it, you'll know about all the wonderful upcoming events, classes, workshops, retreats. I have a retreat coming up in Santa Barbara, California in January.
Okay.
We're excited about that. It's a Divine I Am retreat. So I'm a Divine I Am practitioner and facilitator, so helping you connect with your Divine I Am presence. So please check that out. That's in January. We will be live streaming it as well globally, so you can join on live stream as well. I'm also an Insight Timer teacher, and so I'm constantly adding more content and courses and things like that there, and I do lives weekly as well.
Okay, explain what Insight Timer is, because I looked at it, but yeah, tell more.
Yeah, it's a wonderful app. I mean, I think they're getting around 600,000 people a day joining. So it's an app. Yeah, they've got an amazing, I think they have over 20,000 facilitators. There's, you need to create a profile, absolutely get approved and go through the process. It's high quality, really wonderful content. People that are taking time and, really being very careful with their recording quality. You have to be kind of meet some standards there, but there's meditations there, there's talks there, it kind of keeps track of what you're doing. It actually puts, milestones in there. It's a really, it has coursework there. You can join courses. There's retreats. It shows retreats that are happening worldwide. It's a one-stop shop for some excellent facilitation, healing, and of course they do the lives as well. So I signed up for being a live teacher just a while ago. So I do a live once weekly. You can do lives there as well. Yeah, it's a beautiful app.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome. Yeah.
And also you have a great free gift offering, which we're going to showcase as well. Ragan, thank you so much. Are there any last words from you?
Just so nice to be with you. Thank you for taking me into the deeper depths of that past story and letting me go on that ride with everyone. It feels really enriching to feel where I've come from and where I am now. So thank you for that. And I'm just so grateful to everyone. Just keep going. This path is so worth it.
Even though it doesn't seem like it is, but there are days you're like, yes, this is great. Yeah, keep it that.
Just keep going. It will get better and brighter and lighter. It truly does. Yeah.
Nice. All right, California, and your warm, beautiful day that we are all just like, I feel like I'm just going to take some of that light in myself. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. And again, every week we have inspiration, truth, sovereignty, all of that encompasses this great awakening and what it is. So Ragan, thank you again.
Thank you.
See y'all later. Y'all, find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Truth Social, as well as Rumble, BitChute, YouTube, plus a plethora of other audio directories like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So subscribe, do it all. See ya.